So welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, we're going to be talking about state variables. So what are state variables? State variables are variables that are declared outside or within a scope of a function. So let's illustrate what we just said. Here is the basic contract. So our state variable is always declared outside. It's always declared outside the scope of a function. It's always declared outside the function, outside this function. It's always declared at the beginning of the contract, outside the function. Anything declared inside the function is no longer a state variable. A state variable is always declared outside the function. So for this contract, we are going to declare a state variable here. So we're going to declare a unit 256 type, 256. So we're going to name it state num. So we've declared a unit 256 type of state variable here, state num. We can also declare a Boolean type. Can call it my bool. You can also declare a uint 16 type. Can call it my uint. Sorry. You can also declare a string type. I'll call it my string. So all these are state variables. All these are what? State variables. They are declared outside the scope of a function. They are not declared inside. Anything declared inside is no longer a state variable, as I said earlier on. So they are declared outside the scope of a function, and they are characterized by their type and name. You can see we have a type here, which is the Boolean type, and we have the name of the state variable. Sorry, we have the name of the state variable. You can see we have a uint16 type of data, and we have the name here. You can see we have a string type, and we have the name. So this is how to declare a state variable. So next, we're going to be seeing the visibility. State variables can either be public or private, and if left without a visibility, is private by default. Any state variable declared as public in Solidity can be seen and read by us, while any state variable declared as private in Solidity is there on the EVM machine but can never be seen by us. So let's see how this works in Remix. So whenever we want to declare our state variable as public, all we have to do is to simply add the public keyword. Once you add the public keyword, this can be visible by us. We can read the content of the state variable state num. But once it is private, like this, once it is private, it is there on the EVM machine. It is there in Solidity, but we cannot see the content of the state num. The only person that can see the content of the state num is the EVM machine. That's the only person that can see the content. So we cannot see the content, but we can be able to update it. So we do a public. Let's see the context. So we're going to assign a number to it. Let's assign 100. So let's try and compile. Then let's deploy and see, so that you understand what we are saying. Let's deploy. Can see our state num is currently 100. We can see it. We can read whenever you click on this kind of function that is not. Whenever you click on this kind of function that is not what color is this? I think this is blue. That is blue in color. It's a getter function. Then this red is, sorry, this yellow is a normal function. So this is a getter function and this is a normal function. So this does not change the state of the variable or anything, but this changes and modifies the state of a variable in Solidity. So we click on this, we can see our 100. So let's change this to private so that you get what we are saying. So when we change it to private, we deploy. You can see nothing pops up, nothing shows up. We cannot see it. It is not visible at this point. We have already told the EVM machine that look, we don't want to see this state norm. Make it private. Make it that nobody sees it. So it does exactly what we told him to do. So we make it public back again, and then you can see. Let's cancel and deploy again. Then you can see we can view it again. So this is all about visibility in state variables. So what we'll be looking next is the constant and immutable. Once a state variable is declared as constant or immutable, it can never be modified by a function or anything. It cannot change. So let's see how this works. So once a state variable is declared as constant or immutable, it means that this variable cannot change. We cannot update the state of this variable. So let's try and update this state variable. So we're going to do a state num is equals to new num. So let's deploy and see if we can be able to update. This is just a normal state variable. Let's try and update it. Let's see if it's going to work. So let's update it. Let's change the figure to, you can see the figure is currently 100 here, so let's change it to like 200. So let's try and update. You can see, let's see if the transaction went. You can see the transaction went successfully. So let's try and check. You can see it has updated to 200. So by us adding a constant, we are telling Solidity that look here, this state variable, right? We don't want it to change. We don't want anybody to be able to change this. We want this to be constant. Let it be constant here. Let it not be able to change. Let it be there. So let's try and compile and see if it's actually going to work. So we got an error, cannot assign to a constant variable. You can see we can't change the value, cannot assign to a constant variable. We cannot assign a new number to a constant variable. Same thing with immutable. Let's check immutable. You can see we cannot update it. You can see cannot write to immutable here. Immutable variable can only be initialized inline or asserted directly in the constructor. It means that this function, this immutable, can only be assigned once. It cannot be reassigned. You can only assign it once. So any immutable and constant keyword are good. These are keywords that you use when you know that okay, this figure, this state variable, we are not going to be changing it. We are not going to be doing anything with it. Like when you are, I think a use case is when you are deploying an ERC20 contract. When you are assigning the value of the Uniswap V2 router, you know that you're not going to change the router address. It's going to be constant. So you're going to add immutable to the router address. You know that okay, we're not going to be changing this router address. This is going to be like a constant. We're not going to be changing it. So if you know that you're not going to be changing a state variable, you can use immutable and constant. And by the way, immutable and constant cost less gas than assigning a bare value. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.